that the Secretariat wants me to come and join this halaqah. I don't know why they made that mistake, but since you are my bosses, I had to comply. I chose a topic that is dear to my heart, and I hope that it is relevant. So my topic is Dawah for the .com generation, reflections from a BBC generation, born before computer generation. I was born a long time ago, and before computers, maybe there was a big computer somewhere in America, but there were no other computers around. But now we know that we're in the age of what's that, WhatsApp, what's this, Snapchat, Facebook, WhatsApp, and all other .com issues. The 21st century that we live in is a century of marvels of technology, nanotechnology, robotics, Internet of Things, and the smartphone is now like a part, it's like an extension of us. If you wake up and you have forgotten your smartphone on somewhere, you can't even breathe. It's as if you don't have oxygen. You must be on your phone. That is the life. But I'm going to ask my friend here, Sheikh Al-Bashir, to recite one of the last ayahs. Sometimes it is called the last ayah of the Quran. And after that, I'll continue.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا.
صدق الله العظيم. It is said that ayah came towards the end of the mission of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I don't know if this is right, but some say that it is after the Hijjatul Wida, after the farewell pilgrimage, when the Prophet gathered in Arafah, and there were thousands and thousands of Muslims, and he addressed them and told them a lot of things. You need to Google the farewell pilgrimage or the farewell sermon and see what was in it. But this particular ayah talks about the fact that Allah has completed his favors and chosen Islam as the deen. Now, deen, sometimes we say it's a way of life, that Islam is not just a religion, but deen is a way of life, meaning that it covers all our aspects, whether they are social, economic, spiritual, physical, and therefore, when we are talking about dawah, it means that we are talking about deen. Also, dawah is comprehensive, it covers everything. I'll be asking my friend here to do the I can recite Quran, but I prefer that we use people who know the rules of the engagement. You know, Quran has its rules, and we need to learn it, to learn how to recite it properly. But we shall be using some of the verses to talk about this concept of dawah and I'm glad that Sheikh Bashir has accepted to be with me on this topic. Why did I choose this topic? Because since Islam is comprehensive, it's a deen, it's a way of life. You are at a certain age in your journey towards Yawm al-Qiyamah, isn't it? Because we are told that we're on a journey. Life is just, in fact, in some ayahs, Allah says this is just like the shortest lifespan. You know, this is the shorter, think of the longer life. And you are going to meet all kinds of challenges along the way. But for now, let us concentrate on your time here. Depending on your program, if it's a certificate, diploma, or degree, you're going to spend here maybe 2 years or 3 years or 4 or 5 if you're in medicine. And therefore, what kind of environment do you want to create for doing Dawah here and also when we engage in the community? It's a major responsibility for all of us. So some of the principles that I'm going to share here are based on my reflection as a BBC, as a born before computer person, but I'm talking to another generation, which is the .com generation. So if you find some of my thinkings irrelevant, please forgive me, because I come from a different era. I was born in the last century. Many of you were born this century. So, number one, maybe you can recite 2 or 3 ayahs on Dawah. One is the chapter 3, Al-Imran, verse 104.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولتكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر وأولئك هم المفلحون.
You can Google and see what the English version translation, but generally I'll summarize it as saying that Allah is telling us, let there be among you a group, yaduna ila khair, that it is telling people to do good, or it is calling on people to what is good. And what is good is Islam. What is good is a good way of relating yourself with God, but also how you behave. When we say deen, we are talking about your behavior, because religion is your relationship with God and your relationship with His creatures. So religion is the way you relate with God and the way you relate with the creatures. If you look at what all the prophets did when they came to us, from Adam to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they are talking about that relationship. First, Tawheed, and all of them talked about Tawheed, believe in one God, which means that is the center of our relationship with the Creator. But also they talked about how to deal with others around you and other creatures. Islam being the last, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam being the last prophet, came with a book that was also in a series of books. Because Allah says, In the last verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, Amana Rasul bima unzila ilayhi kullun amana billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi. So the books are many, but the Quran is the last message. So that relationship between us and the human and Allah, our creator, and our relationship among ourselves is what constitutes deen. So sometimes we may be confused and think that Islam is about the 5 pillars. As long as I pray, I've done the Shahada, I pray, I do Zakah, I fast, I go to that. No, these are pillars. Every building has those columns and pillars. But pillars don't make a building. The pillars hold firmly the building, but now the key is how you finish it up, how you paint it, how do you complete it. So therefore, from Isha to Fajr, maybe you are sleeping. What kind of dreams are you having? Then you wake up and pray. Then from Fajr to Dhuhr, that's now the real test. How are you engaging with the world around you? With your teachers, with your fellow students, with your friends? Are you in a cat fight in the dorm? Fighting over your boyfriend? Why did you look at him? I saw you. Okay, maybe at your age, that's the most important thing in your life. But Dawah is supposed to call you back from, so your friend is supposed to call you aside and say, young lady, don't fight your friend because of a mere boy. Let the boy go. He's a problem for you. Or vice versa. It may be the two of you, a Somali and a Nigerian, they are fighting over a girl. Then you start abusing the entire country. You Nigerians, you are bad people, because of a girl. My dear, that girl may not even be thinking about you at that point. She has already found somebody else. So, Dawah, Dawah means that if you are one of the Dawah people here, they call themselves the Dawah group. What are you going to do in the dorm if you see people fighting over a girl? What is your responsibility as somebody from the Dawah group? Because the ayah he has told, said, let there be among you a group of people, telling people to do good. You have to call yourself dying. My dear, whenever you call yourself a title, you are inviting responsibility in your hands. You understand? Yes. When you get married, you are inviting responsibility to become a husband or a wife. Before you go into it, study. What is a good wife? What is a good wife? What is a good husband? So once you go into Dawah, it is a science, it is an art, it is a skill that you need to study. Then there is another ayah. Please read it on Dawah. Yes, it is what verse?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين.
Chapter what?
Chapter 16 verse 41.
Chapter 16, verse 144. Now, on this one, Allah is teaching us, and here I'm just going to reflect on what I think. Is telling us that you are calling Idum fi sabil rabbikum bil hikma wa maudat al hasana. You are going into a specific role here, where you want to call people to do good. Therefore, use wisdom. Idu fi sabili rabbikum. Remember, you are not doing it for yourself. So remember, a da'i, they are doing it, the intention is fi sabili rabbikum, which means you are going into an area where your intention is to please Allah. That's when you are doing dawah. It's not to please yourself, it's not to satisfy yourself, it's not to, but rather to please Allah, or to help others understand how to please Allah. Isn't it? Therefore, the intention now, once you say that I'm going to do this because of you, compare, somebody tells you that, you know, the reason I'm coming or I want to go to, it is because of you. Then definitely he must know what you want. Since you are doing it on behalf of God and to call people to God, you can now not bring your own ways. You understand? It is important to do it, to study what does he mean bil hikmah wa mau'izatil hasana. Of course, the first teacher of the Quran was the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I think the best way to do it is to say, how did the Prophet do it? That would be the best. Or his companions. Isn't it? Yeah, so how did he do da'wah? If you remember, the first time he went out to call people of Makkah, according to the seerah that they tell us, he first asked them a question. He told them, if I were to tell you that there is an army behind the hill coming to attack us, would you believe me? They said yes, because you are Al-Amin. Isn't it? What does that mean? It means that a good da'i first establishes themselves as Al-Amin or close to Al-Amin, because the Prophet was the best of creatures, and maybe we can never be like the Prophet. But at least what it means is that the way you are watching other people as a da'i, they are also watching you. Isn't it? Yeah. The people of Makkah knew the Muhammad ibn Abdullah. They knew him. They could accuse him of all kinds of things, but they could never accuse him of him being a fake, or being a liar, or being somebody who cannot be trusted. In fact, it is amazing that his enemies, those who castigated him, when it came to, can you keep my property for me, they would go to the same man they were castigating. He is not a prophet. He's lying. But you know what? Please, you keep my money for me. Why? Because they knew that once you kept money with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the way you gave it is the way you defined it. Now, Sarah gives his money to Sauda to keep it. Sauda starts thinking, you know what? Let me first eat lunch, then I'll tell her when she comes that, you know what, wait, tomorrow I'll give it to you. I'll call mommy, and mommy will send it to me, and I'll give you back your money. Now, when you do that, how can you call yourself a die? Somebody has left you with his money. Just keep it to me for a day. Then when he comes back, you have 10 stories to tell. But the money is not there. You know. So I think Allah chose these prophets because already they were established. Their character was known. They were upright people. We can never be like the prophets, but since we are going into their shoes as die, we need to emulate that character and say, let me be a good person as much as I can. Yes, we are not perfect, to make mistakes, but let people feel that these Dawah people are trustworthy, they are good people. Therefore, when you go to help people become better, they can believe you. So, Dawah means, or the approach has to be that conduct of us has to be the best Dawah. Conduct has to be the best Dawah approach. Yes, we must have these halaqas, definitely, to teach people. Because the Prophet also taught people a lot. But conduct must be the best dawah. And on this one, it's not just the dying people, it's everybody. So don't say, for me, conduct is not an issue because I'm not in the Dawah group. No. All of you are leaders in one way or another. Kullukum ra'ayun. Is that the hadith? All of you are shepherds. The father is a shepherd in the house. The mother is. The monitor is. Here we have course coordinators. They are leaders. The guild, you are leading. Therefore, think of your responsibility. How do people judge you? How do people look at you? The more you are moving towards being a trustworthy person, kind person, thinking about others, the more you'll be doing dawah. That is the best dawah. The way Islam spread, especially in this part of the world, especially in Africa, especially in Uganda, was through traders. Arab traders came, mostly from Yemen and Oman, and they started dealing with trade. And because of their practice of being trustworthy, they attracted people to Islam. We did not have missionary activity as the main form of inviting others to Islam. No, these were just merchants, but you could tell that they have a certain way in which they deal with others. They had a discipline. They would pray on time. Then they would borrow money or lend money and do transactions in a faithful way. That's when they attracted people to Islam. The Orientalist accusation that Islam was spread by the sword is a non-starter, because in Islam, لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها. There is no compulsion in religion. Truth is clear from falsehood. Is it possible, my scholars here, is it possible to force somebody to do shahada, and would that shahada be acceptable? Dr. Jallo, is it possible to force somebody to do shahada and that shahada is acceptable? It's impossible. So there is no way you can force somebody in Islam, because the first act in order to become a Muslim is Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. I witness with my tongue and my heart that there is none to be worshipped but Allah. So it's impossible to force Islam on anybody. If you do, you are wasting your time. You are wasting your time. And the opposite is also true. Now this is where I think it is important to understand. Once somebody says Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, you cannot say that he's not a Muslim. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. You cannot say. Once he says it, you are not supposed to judge him. Again, there is tarikh on that. There is somebody, was it Sayyidina Ali or one of the Sahabas, who killed somebody in battle and he said Ashhadan, but I think for him he was lying because he saw my sword. And the Prophet asked him, young man, how did you know? Since when do you know what is in people's hearts?
He was called Usama.
Usama. He was who?
Usama bin Zayd.
Osama bin Zayd. Because for him, he thought that the man was pleading for mercy. That's why he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. So the Prophet said, young man, no. Once somebody says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad, he's a Muslim. Those are the others are your problems, but for him he has already declared. So Islam cannot be forced on anybody, because the first act is internal, it is personal, it is freedom. It's a free act. But now the problem comes to us. If I asked around here, this is a puzzle for you, since you use your akal. This is a puzzle for you. How did you become a Muslim?
I was born in Muslim.
How did you become a Muslim?
Just like you.
When you ask around, everybody tells me, or suppose you were born a Catholic, would you be a Muslim? Ask yourself that. Suppose you were born a Catholic, would you be a Muslim? So why are you so hard on the Catholic? These are things that we need to think about. Instead of you doing da'wah, bil hikmah, wa mawidhat al-hasana, you are busy castigating the Catholic. My dear, suppose you were born a Catholic, would you be a Muslim? So when Allah tells us that use hikmah, use mawidhat al-hasana, He's saying, don't judge. Just id'u fi sabili rabbikum bil hikmah wa mawidhatil hasana. Be nice to people, be a nice human being, be considerate, love thy neighbor. What does the Prophet say about our dealings with the neighbor? What does he say?
He has a lot of words onto that, amongst which he said it's not Islam, or it's not an act of Islam for someone to sleep when he or she is satisfied, but when the neighbor is sleeping hard.
Did he say the neighbor must be a Muslim or what?
No, never specified.
So, in another hadith, he talks about Angel Jibreel coming to him and talking to him about the rights of a neighbor until he thought that maybe they are even supposed to get inheritance. So how do you deal with your neighbor in your room? Madam Khadija. Who is Khadija here? I'm sure there is a Khadija here. Put up your hand if you're Khadija. My mother was Khadija, so you put up your hand. I'll treat you like my mother. Okay, Mariam. Who is a Mariam? I'm going to ask you, how do you treat your neighbor? The one that sleeps under or above? Or is pushing her? Eh? How about you, Ismail? Okay, not Ismail. Ismails are good people. Eh? How do you treat your neighbor? And do you know that that is the best dawah for you? Eh? The way you treat your neighbor. So take it as a chance. I'm going to get Jannah from this neighbor of mine. You know, make it your point that by the end of the year you spend with that person, Allah will give you Jannah. Because of the way you have treated that neighbor of yours. Because Jannah, and again this is from Islam and teachings. Allah is the only one who gives Jannah and nobody else. He's Malik Yawmiddin. There is no other cabinet on Yawm al-Qiyamah. So my dear, the way you treat your neighbor can be the pathway for people to embrace Islam. For example, if your neighbor is Florence, you say, I'm going to treat her so well that she'll become a Muslim. You know? So, why are we nasty to our neighbors? But then we rush to the masjid for Fajr. You know, are you playing with Allah or you are? So this is the reflection we want from you as a person who has read all the books, passed all the exams, and landed in the best university in the world, IUIU. You mean the other universities? No, it is IUIU the best one. Now that we are here with a lot of Gyagenda and very smart, even the way you walk, have arrived. You start telling everybody, you know, what IUIU? Where are you? And they talk about these other universities that I hear about. They say, no, for me, I'm at IUIU. My dear, use your time here to reflect on the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his example, how he was so nice to even those who were nasty to him. There is that incident of the, was it a Jewish lady who used to put thorns in his path? Yeah? How did he treat her? When she became sick and he wasn't seeing her, he wasn't finding the thorns anymore. He said, where is my friend? People were like, are you crazy? What do you mean? Where is she? I want to know. I've been meeting thorns here, now I don't see the thorns. They said, but she's sick. He went to visit her. He went to visit her. That is Dawah. That is the ultimate example of Dawah. And what happened? Yeah, Sheikh, what happened? Eh? Yeah. So because it seems, it doesn't seem that the life of the Prophet was the Quran. That is another hadith from Sayyidat Aisha. When they asked her, what was the conduct of the Prophet? Tell us, since you were with him a lot, tell us about the Prophet. Then she said, don't you read the Quran? Yeah, don't you read the Quran? The Prophet's conduct was the Quran. So we and you who are the da'i, let us reflect on these examples and be nice to people, even those who may not be so nice to us. Kill them with love. Eh? Repeat that. Kill them with love. Come on. What did you come to do here? Kill them with love. Kill them with love. Yes. You know, bombard them with so much love that, and it should not be fake love. It should not be fake love. It should come from the heart. They should feel it. And then, inshallah, Allah will make it happen. It is not you. That's another concept in Dawah. That's another concept in Dawah. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. You know, that's another key concept in Dawah. You are not the one who is going to make people Muslim or Mu'min or whatever. No, it's not you. Your job, ادعوا في سبيل ربكم بالحكمة وموعظة الحسنة. Then it is Allah who is the guide, who is going to do his work. Don't enter into Allah's realm. Keep your lane. You know, some of you guys, I know the way you treat each other. You tell them, keep your lane. Tonyingirira. This is the way you talk to each other, the .com generation. You know a lot of things from this, I don't know what to call this. Sometimes, I don't know if I should say it is being recorded. Let me leave it. This is your friend. As soon as you wake up, my friend. But why are you talking bad language to each other? Because Kardashian also uses bad language. Now you want to be like Kardashian, These are your heroes. How about the men? Is it Arsenal? Is it who are your heroes? The .com kids. Who are your heroes? Think about it. Because these people can have a lot of influence on the way we behave. And it is vicarious, it is subliminal. You watch those characters so much, go and Google, don't ask me what subliminal means. Go and look it up. It is a professor talking. Go and Google it. Vicarious, subliminal. Go and look for it. Now, because of that influence from your WhatsApp, Facebook, or character, you start behaving like Kardashian. Young man, some of you behave like Trump. The men, because you are .com kids, you don't want to elders, you don't respect the elders. You have a lot of names for us. Or you senior, I don't want to listen to him. He has too much white hair. My dear, you think it is easy to grow this hair? Try to grow it and see. We have seen days. We have seen days. You come to us, We shall tell you what days we have seen. But you are here, talking to each other, bad language, and you think that it is okay. No. Have you forgotten that there are people who are writing everything you say? Baba Itabani, Bakata Babani, those malaikas, Akidwa, Watid. What do they do? There is a verse in the Quran which says that we shall look at that book and we shall say, Ya Allah, this book does not leave out anything that I did. Now, it did not leave out anything. So, my dear, before you start looking at these Kardashians and others, who and copying the way they walk, these men here, when they look at my daughters, then they start coming up with all kinds of walking styles. Leave my daughters alone. They came here to study. Leave them alone. Atena mwe muleka abatabani bange abana bange mbamanyi. I know you. You are disturbing my boys. Leave them alone. You study. So, Islam, the ayah that the Sheikh said that I have perfected my favors on you. Ya Allah, do you know what that encompasses? You know that I have perfected my favors. I've completed my favors on you and chosen Islam. Do you know those favors? Do you know how big that favor is? So, university life is not easy. I know that. Our parents are going through hard times to try and make us into something. Some of us, we don't eat enough because we don't have pocket money enough. Tuition is not easy. But always look at the positive side. A da'i is always positive. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was always positive. Now, by the way, you didn't give me a time. When you tell a professor to talk, it can take forever. So tell me how much time I'm left with.
Maybe you may use more 10 minutes and open.
Okay, so 10 more minutes and then we open it up. I wanted us to talk about the issue of being lenient and not rude or harsh. Al-Imran chapter 3 verse 159.
فبما رحمة من الله لنت لهم ولو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك فاعف عنهم واستغفر لهم وشاورهم في الأمر فإذا عزمت فتوكل على الله إن الله يحب المتوكلين.
Are you taking notes? This is verse 159 in chapter 3. Go read it and see how Allah is praising the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam because of his personality. Thank you. He's telling him you are lenient with them. You are tolerant. You are not rude. You are not harsh. If you were, they would run away from you. So the job of you as a da'i is to ensure that people don't run away from you. Isn't it? Yes. How do you conduct yourself? How do you deal with them? in such a way that they don't castigate you, they don't run away from you, but actually they are attracted to you. We are psychological animals. We are many things, but we are psychological animals. Of course, we are cognitive animals, meaning we use our brain, but we are also psychological, meaning we are also emotional beings. So we are cognitive, we are psychological, we are emotional, we are social animals. Therefore, the way you approach me affects the way I relate with you. The way you approach me affects the way I'm going to react towards you. I can slap you and then say, by the way, Islam is good. Be a Muslim. After the slaps. But does that make sense to you? That you first slap somebody and then you call them to your religion? That is, it means you're not thinking properly. Isn't it? So, that's why all the prophets, but I studied comparative religion. There is somewhere in the Bible where it says, do unto others the way you want to be done unto. You know, it was a teaching that the Christian said Prophet Isa used a lot. But it's also one of the hadiths. You know. So it is meaningful. The way you treat somebody will what? Will bring the same kind of reaction. That's the potential is a lot that it will bring the same kind of reaction. So, if you are a dai, you are trying to do dawah, you are trying to call people, you are trying to make them be attracted to Islam, it only makes sense that you need to be nice to them, that you need to approach them in a way that will attract them. You cannot be rude, you cannot be harsh. And that is the example that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam exhibited in many different instances. Many different instances. And he's our guide in this. The other concept is the concept of context. Context. Context means time and space. I was talking to Imam Bashir, and he reminded me that if you look at the different prophets, they approached their mission differently, except in teaching Tawhid. Tawhid was the same, believe in one God, believe in one God. But the way they dealt with their communities depended on the circumstances of that community. So the way Sayyidina Musa approached Pharaoh and to rescue the Israelites or the Jews was different from the way Nabi Ibrahim dealt with his people. Therefore, if we are here at IUIU in the 21st century with the .com kids who are watching Arsenal versus, they think that it's a religion actually. The way they follow Premier League. I'm always sleeping there and I hear people moving at night. Hey, I'm So then the girls also have, is it Rihanna or who? You know, who is the current one? So the way we are going to do dawah among that group definitely has to be different. So you need to understand we need to understand our community. Then the community of Mbale, if we are in Mbale, or the community of Kampala, if we are at Kampala campus, or the community of Arua. You must understand the community. You must understand what are the issues here in the community. Maybe if I went to that refugee camp, if I'm from Arua and there's a BDBD refugee camp, maybe let us arrange a visit and we take the refugees some help. You don't go there to preach Islam. No. A refugee may not be in the right state of mind to hear your verses. But food, you'll understand. And once you take the food, you say, Assalamu alaikum, thank you very much, hope everything is okay, and you go. Why are you in a hurry? You know, there is only one religion. Hurry is very good. Hurry. What is your hurry? If you want to die, go. You know, think about the circumstances, and then slowly by slowly, you gain the trust, and then you tell somebody about Islam at the right moment. Sometimes they may give you the moment. Oh, by the way, why are you doing this? Oh, I'm doing this because in our religion it is important to... Oh, what is your religion? So, don't be in a hurry. Study the situation. Study the people that you are dealing with. If they like soccer, go and play soccer. And don't use this bikuri. And when they ask you how come for you, you're a peaceful player, you say, you know, in our religion, we don't want to hurt people. But you are a die member, but in the football you keep kicking other people's shins. That for you are very tough. Oh, really? We have a dot-com generation that is knowledgeable. You know, there is a lot of information here. You guys know more than what I knew when I was at your age. There's an information overload. Some of it is good, some of it is bad, some of it is ugly, some of it is nasty, some of it is dirty. Everything is here. Where do you spend most of the time? You look at me and remember where you spend most. Is it on the dirty one, on the nasty one, on the... Where do you spend most of your time on this thing? But you also know a lot because of this. There is a lot of information. Therefore, a die going to a .com must know that you are going to somebody who potentially may know a lot of things. Even the ayah that you are quoting, maybe he knows it better than you. You understand? You be ready to be confronted. Why are you saying that? Because Mufti Menk said this on that one. Oh, okay. Let me go back and check my reading. Pama, it means you have lost. You are not well versed. You quoted an ayah, you misinterpreted it, and now the other person now tells you, young man, go try that somewhere else. You know. So it means you also must know. You also must be seek to know, or bring it in a way where you are allowing them also to contribute their ideas. What do you think? I read this ayah and this is what I think it says. No, but actually I think that's a better. Don't come with I know more. I was hesitant to sit here. The other time the Sheikh, you know, we have a program, Rector's series on human and revealed sciences. Sheikh Sebaiga said, in the Prophet's life, there was no high table. This one here. But I didn't want to violate your etiquette just because I'm Rector. But during the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wherever they had a meeting, they would sit and he would not want to sit in the center. Isn't it? That was to show, of course he knew that he was the Prophet. And people knew that he's the Prophet. But humility is part of Dawah. Humility is part of Dawah. Don't want to stand out because you are the Dawah group. Then you have missed the whole point. Mingle, humble yourself, and then you'll be able to influence people in many different ways that you may not even realize. Islam is a flexible religion. It has foundations that are core, that you cannot touch, but it's flexible. When you're on safar, you can cut on the rakas of Dhuhr and Asr, combine and so forth. When you're on safar, you may not have to fast when you come back. During COVID, stand like this, and it is allowed. Be flexible depending on the circumstances. There's one time I was here, and it was during COVID. We had just been allowed to come back as a school. But they had told us, please observe SOPs. I came here, the Jama was finished, but a group there was praying, but for them, they had decided that they are not going to follow the SOPs. So I went and joined them, but for me, I stepped aside and 2 meters or whatever. So after prayer, I asked the Imam, and I said, why are you violating the SOPs? They said, don't you know the hadith? Of course, they didn't know that I was the Rector. Amir. So I said, young people, there were some old people who said, if you do it again, you are out of here. Some of them were not from this university. I told them, by the way, I'm the Rector. Oh, we are sorry. Actually, we are sorry. How can you defy the government in the name of Islam over something that other sheikhs have said is okay? Follow the government. I said, suppose somebody takes a picture here, they take it to the ministry and they close IUIU because we are not following. That iman of yours that has now climbed and reached here and made you start questioning SOPs, please keep it down. Let the iman go down back where it belongs. So please, in Islam, we don't have extremism. These days, I will end by saying, when you can do da'wah, you can do da'wah based on that iman that has reached you here, and have the opposite result. Instead of calling to people, you repel them towards Islam. So don't allow that iman of yours to bajita imani ya Gyagenda. Yes, to reach you here and then you do things that tarnish the name of the religion, misrepresent the essence of the religion, and go against that way of life that has already been judged by Allah. You know, He has already told you, I have completed my favors on you and chosen for you Islam, because it is a religion of moderation. That's another ayah which we'll end with. Din al-Wusta. It is the Islam is a place of Wusta, middle, not extreme. Do you know the there is an ayah in the Quran that talks about Islam as the middle course. Din al-Wusta. Is it Din al-Wusta? Is that what they Musta? Yes.
وكذلك جعلنا
وكذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا لتكونوا شهداء على الناس.
The community of believers is the community of what? Moderation. So that you are the witnesses to the mankind. So extremism has been rejected, in that ayah. We cannot be extremists. It's impossible for a Muslim to be extremist. So cool down when you feel that Gyagenda Iman is rising. Cool down, read the Quran, think about other people, think about the neighborhood, think about the context, and then you'll find a way of telling your neighbor, please, let us do it this way. So, as I end, I want to thank the Dawah group, which volunteers to do a lot of work with us, bring us scholars and people like us, the BBCs born before computer, to talk to the .com generation. And I'm glad that you have spared your time instead of watching in Brazil. Is it Brazil? Portugal. You see, they know these things. So I'm glad that you have missed that one in order to come and listen to this old man. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'll end with just 2 examples from my personal life that convinced me that being patient actually works. I had a friend of mine where we stayed in the US. He was a very good friend of ours, and he was a Muslim, but he wouldn't pray. But we were very good friends, and whenever he came to our house, had fun, talked a lot. Then the time for prayer comes for us, we goes and pray, and he sits, and we don't bother him because he was an old man, and he had already told us his father, his Hajj, they pray, so he knows. So we said, oh no, this is an old man. So we kept like that. Even for fasting, you wouldn't fast. Muslims usually we fast. Fasting usually we don't, but he wouldn't fast. So, but we were good Muslims, good friends for a long time, about 3 years. Then he moved from Atlanta to another city. In the middle of the night, at the beginning of the Ramadan, around midnight, he called us, me and my wife, my mukwano. Then he said he was crying. He was saying, I don't understand you, professor. He used to call me Prof. I don't understand. He said, what do you mean? You and your friend, your Mukwano, I don't understand you. I said, why? You never judged me. I always saw you praying, but you never said a word. Then, do you know that I've already found a masjid where I'm going to pray and I'm fasting? Wallahi, I'm going to fast. And he started crying. Then I also started crying because I said, wow, this man is finally, yes, my dear, it is not you to change somebody. That man knew that he's supposed to pray, he's supposed to fast, but the timing is Allah. Allah is the one who times. But he was so thankful. He said, you are my hero, you are my model, and I'm glad that you never judged me. Do you know that whenever I went to my other group, they would always castigate me. Why are you? So my dear, don't allow that iman of Kajanja. I'm not saying, now don't misunderstand. You know, some of you guys, you don't understand these things. Now, the Gyagenda has told us not to remind each other about prayer. No, that's not what I'm saying. Remember, for me, we are talking about somebody who was already 40. And so for you, remind each other, but in a nice way. Don't judge people, but remind each other. You know. Then the other one was also a very old man, and his wife was, he put on hijab. It was during Ramadan. We were in a grocery store. Then the wife said, "Salaam alaikum." We turned around. We talked and wished each other good Ramadan. And then we invited them to our house. We became friends. But we also noticed that whenever time for prayer came, it would be the wife who would join us and we pray together. The man would stay seated. 45-year-old from the Middle East. Obviously, he knew. Again, we never judged him. You know, we said, that is him. Then, after about 3 months, now at that time, my wife was staying here. She had just come to cook dawah for me, because she said, how can my husband cook dawah for himself? So that's why I call her Mukwano. So she came back. She came back to Uganda, and then later on I also told my friends that, by the way, I'm now going back home. Then this man wrote a message to me. He said that, you guys, you don't know what impact you have had on my life. I am a Muslim. I come from a very strong Muslim family. I've been doing all the ibadahs except Salah has been a problem for me. But when you invited me to your home and you didn't judge me and you showed, do you know that now I've decided, I'm going to be praying and I've already started. I'll now pray my 5. So, timing is Allah's, it's not yours. But how do you respect a fellow human being? That is the key. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam respected every human being. Even the Jewish woman who was putting thorns in his purse. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Much appreciation goes to our Rector for those wonderful words he has delivered to us. When I look at the faces of those who have been listening, they are whispering to us that maybe we continue. But because of other inevitable issues, every beginning has an end. We are too glad that in the building we are having our administrators headed by our director. We have our senior lecturers around from different faculties. They are here with us.
The Vice Rector Academics is here.
The Vice Rector Academics is also around. Alhamdulillah.
Professor Pa, the Dean, Faculty of Agribusiness,
Professor Pa from the Faculty of Agribusiness. We have our University Coordinator.
And Dr. Jello.
We have our Senior Doctor, Dr. Jalo Ahmed Mubashir. He is in our faculty of Faizo, Alhamdulillah. Our Imam is in the room, and the secretary to our rector is also with us. And the executive of Dawah, we have also the ISO government with us, headed by our guild president. He is in the room.
Where is my boss? Where is he?
He's somewhere seated.
Come here. Where is the guild president? Is he here? Come. Ali, you go sit down. There's one. Hey, my boss is here and you want to bring problems.
Now, our rector has put a lot of emphasis onto the issue of calling others towards the conduct of Islam. And he said it's an obligation to each one of us here to do that. However, before you come to that, you must first of all purify yourself. You must first of all teach yourself what you are going to teach others. Though, if you teach others what you don't do, that carries no sense at all. He left on board certain terminologies, which was from his department as the professor, and I also want to leave one more to our department of Dawah. They also go and Google about it. Yes. One of the scholars, he was a poet. He said these beautiful words about treating yourself before you treat others, teaching yourself what you are going to teach others. He said, يا أيها الرجل المعلم غيره هلا لنفسك كان ذا التعليم تصف الدوائر بالسقاء وبالضنا كيما يصح به وأنت سقيم تنهى عن فعل وتأتي مثله عار عليك إذا فعلت عظيم. You go and go about that.
MashaAllah.
At this moment, allow me at this moment, we are opening room for some consultations to our director. Maybe a question from what he has talked about. Please, we have some minutes for that, because time is not on this standard. Yes, our university coordinator has something.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Sometimes, Professor, it's very hard for some students who have never been before professors to understand them. But allow me to summarize this in the 4 words we are concept that if the student Dawah committee would take it from your lecture today, the Dawah activity should change. He talked about impact. Feel in the shoes of the student you are going to. If you are backsliding, feel in that shoes. Be exemplary. That's what I said, according to. You should be knowledgeable, and also you need to be what you say. You should be exceptional in your behavior, and critical thinking is very, very important. Mr. Rector, I think we need also another good time for training the Dawah workers. There are many, especially you can use the triple IT both for Dawah activities. Sometimes we blame people because we didn't meet them to do what we expect them to do. Otherwise, they will be doing what they think is right. According to the topic today, you elders of the BBC, you had your own approach. And if I can remember, you had caravans and doing their activities. You had students' movements doing their activities. You had the brotherhood. In fact, you address yourself as brothers, you want to eat together and stay there together and have holidays, which currently are not working. If they are working, they are at a minimum level. The .com world now, we should use the social media to do our activity in the right way. We have groups, but how many of us utilize these groups for doing our activities? I mean, very many groups, but it is a controversial issue that is going to cause fitna. Everybody will contribute. But if it is creating peace, we wonder would be listened, isn't it? So I think we can use the social media in the whole generation. Caravans can still work, especially to secondary school and far-reaching districts. We can create a lot of impact to secondary students. I remember when I was in secondary, students from Makerere visited us in Soroti. In fact, it had a great impact in my life. And I said, yes, I think if Muslims in Makerere, I can also reach them. So if you go to where Karamojalea, you change the minds and the thinking of many Muslim students, and they can possibly change. Social leaders, please invite people to your homes. These activities are very good. We invite them for some lunch. During the lunch, we pass one and go to. So social dinners are also very good. And then the .com world is changing. It's not just to share people. The knowledge these people have is not the BBC, where you need to read books and so on. Today, the .com world, the knowledge is on the tap. Everything they want, they will get from there. I want to say that I'm very grateful for you accepting to do with us today. And we hope with your presence, we are going to change the rules of Dawah and how the activities will be run. Thank you very much. I'm sure some of you are seeing me for the first time. My name is Nasir Yusuf. I'm the Deputy University Coordinator. I've been at Kampala campus, and I'm now here, I think, 3 months ago. Thank you so much.
I just want to correct one impression. I've not come here to change what the DAO group is doing. After all, they are the ones who invited me. I think the better expression should be that there is always need for reimagining and rethinking and improving. Dawah group is doing a lot years from the time we started this university in 1988. Dawah has been part of IUIU. It will continue to be part of IUIU. But our job at every time is to see how the new generation is going to be improving on what they found to reach a better place. So I just wanted to amend a bit. What you've said is on track, but I wanted to amend that statement of changing. Change is change, but the idea is there's always room for improvement. And and there is no perfect way of doing things. Therefore, we need to always rethink and think, and then come up with better ways of doing things in an improving way. Because every year is different. Every year you get a new set of students. Your job is to study them and see how you can reach them in the best way. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Chairman Halaaq, you have really done us a favor to bring closer to us our dear Rector.
The gentleman in yellow had his hand up.
And before I go to anything, I beg the chairman, please, you come and say something to us, inshallah. The chairman.
Okay, inshallah.
On the gratitude of Allah, His peace and blessing